Right, so we're going to move on now to a little bit of a routine I like to use. These are some static stretches with a little bit of movement incorporated into them. Alright, so this kind of warm-up comes after you've raised your heart rate, you've done your dynamic stretches, and then you kind of move into some static stretch positions. Alright, so this is all going to come from a lunge position. I'm going to do this facing you and facing the side so you can see both angles. Alright, and yeah, let's go straight into it. So we're going to start off. So number one, we come into a lunge position. Now for my lunge position, my legs want to be about hip width apart. I don't want to be stood all the way over here because you're not going to get the benefit that you're looking for. Alright? So hip width apart. So for the first one, what is going to happen? My back knee is obviously underneath this hip. Alright? And my knee is over this ankle. So I've got this 90 degree from here. Now what I want to do, engage my glute on the leg that's down. Keep my arms nice and tight. I don't want any extension through the spine. And you're going to drive your hips forward. Now for this first one, I want the knee to come over my toes. Yeah? And I like to kind of sit here. I tend not to count. I tend to focus on breath more than anything. Alright? So breathing in, breathing out, relaxing into my stretches. If you count, you can kind of rush it. Keep the muscles nice and tight. You're not relaxing. We use the breath to relax what we're doing. So imagine if I'm holding this position, so I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to breathe into my muscles. And as I breathe out, that's where you kind of relax into the stretches, and that's how you push the depth further. So as I say, I'm going to talk about things in terms of breaths. So with this, 3 to 6 kind of thing, where feels comfortable for you? Obviously this is you warming up, not me. So work with your body. Alright, so I'm breathing, relaxing in, testing my depth that way. Alright, next one, we're going to do the same position, but we take the leg a little bit further forwards, okay? This will target different areas, you'll feel the different stretches in different places, okay? And if you need any help, obviously ping me messages, questions, and I'll walk you through it that way. So this is the same here, all right? I've just taken this front foot further. I lock this back glute in nice and tight, abs squeezed in, and I'm going to drive my hips through this way. And again, working on those breaths, so in, and then relaxing into it. Another thing you can do is pulsing as well. So just like little pulses, moving into a tight area and moving out of it. Okay, that works quite nicely with the breath as well. Have a play around with it, find what works for you. Next position, we go from here. My opposite hand to the leg forwards is going to place on the floor in front of me. Again, I'm not massively wide, about level with your shoulder sort of area. And then what we're going to do from here, we're going to work with this knee. So all I'm going to do, I want to keep my hips nice and level. My hand sits on the inside here, and I gradually press this knee out to the side, open my hips up, and then it come back in. And again, this is that stretching with the movement, so pushing into tight areas, and then backing off that little bit, alright? And this is all personal to you, where you feel tightest, where you need to work, focus on that little bit, yeah? So really push into those tight areas, you might come off a little bit, back into it, just kind of finding what works for you this way. Next one we do, okay? I'm going to place both hands on the floor. Right? If you wish, I quite like to grab my foot on this one and keep my elbow on the inside of my shin to keep this knee out. Come here, this can kind of creep in and you can cheat. So I like to hold this here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate through my hips. Yeah? So imagine your pelvis, your hip area. You're going to turn into this knee and then back it off. Okay? So I'm turning in. Rotate the hips in nice and tight, and then back out. And again, this is kind of just moving into the tight area, working your way out of the tight area, and just working on the reps. Obviously focusing on the breathing, and just relaxing off from that position there. Next one in this area, okay, what I'm going to do, this elbow now, I'm going to tuck it in nice and tight. So I'm going to turn my shoulders in, come down nice and low. So I'm going to feel a nice stretch on the inside of my leg here. And then I want to turn towards the ceiling. Open up my chest, shoulders, and you kind of repeat that. So we close ourselves off. So I come in nice and tight here. Alright, if you can get your elbow on the floor, that's great. But again, don't kind of roll your back to get this in here. I want to keep the back tight in here and open it out this way. So rotate in and back out. So that's another one that you can use. And then from there, a final one I like to do. Not directly working on the hips, we're looking more at a hamstring. But what I'm going to do is this leg that's down, I'm going to sit my bum back on my heel. This leg is now going to be out straight, so I'm focusing on this hamstring. Now what I'm going to do from here is keep my back nice and flat, nice and straight line. I'm not going to roll through the spine in this way. And all I'm going to do is pull my chest towards my thigh and then come back up. So you should feel a nice pull through the back of the hamstring there. And keep this leg straight, keep the toes up. I'm just going to kind of work into this. And again, it's using that movement in my stretch. So I'm working into the position, coming out. Into the position, coming out of this. Personally on this one, I like to do 10 reps. On number 10, and then hold it. So I stretch down. If you want to grab your foot, you can. You can just hold it here. And then breathing in, breathing out, relaxing into it until you feel comfortable. And then coming out of it. And then you repeat on the opposite leg. Okay? So we'll go through the same process now, but we'll do it on the side angle, and I'll do it on the opposite leg. So remember, number 1, lunge position here. So feet are hip width apart. Hip is stacked over this knee. This one, my knee is over my ankle. You might want to bring it in a little bit closer. Again, depends on your range of motion, flexibility, how it works. But on the first one, glutes tight, abs tight, knee goes over the toes, and I'm dropping into the hips. Yeah, so I'm pressing down into that floor. And again, either breathe in or you've got the pulse. Number 2, similar position. We extend this leg. So this time, everything's the same, but I'm not going over the toes with my knee. So glutes tight, abs tight, hips go down, and then you hold it again. You can pulse it if you wish. You can breathe, what feels good for you. Hand goes to the floor from there. Inside of the knee. Yeah, remember I'm working the knee out. And back in. Notice I'm keeping my back flat. I'm not arching in this way in here. Back is staying straight. I'm just working into those tight positions. And coming back in like so. Next, this hand either comes to the floor, or if you wish, grab the inside of the foot. And all you're going to do is turn your hips towards that leg. And then come back up. So I turn my hips in towards my leg and back out. And again, work that for reps. Yeah, like what, like 5, 6, 8, 10, whatever kind of suits you. It's all part of your warm up. From there, we bring the elbow in, so we close ourselves off. So elbow comes in nice and tight, and then we rotate up to the ceiling, open the chest, and then use the breath again. In breath, exhale there, just working in like so. And then from there, we can sit back on our heel, leg out in front, stays nice and straight, back stays straight, and I want to pull my chest towards my thigh and come back. So you get that tension in the hamstring, just kind of working where it feels good. A couple reps on that, and then last one, you can hold position, use the breath, and then relax it off when you're feeling ready to go. As I've said now, we've got quite a few warm-up videos that we use, and I'll tell you certain orders to do them in, okay? This one comes after you've raised your heart rate, you've got the body warm, you've done your dynamic stretching, okay? So you've used all your movements, your rotations, and then this one's a little bit more focused on the hips, opening up the leg areas, and then after this one is where you would go into your workout, okay? As I've said, you can kind of do that. You can use your breath, you can kind of pulse through it. If you want to count seconds, you can, but personally, I'm not a big fan of that one. All right. What I do like to do is maybe set a timer. So, personal preference, up to you, depends on how much time you've got. I wouldn't do any less than 2 minutes, all right, on the one leg, and just kind of move through the positions. Yeah, so if I know I've got 2 minutes, obviously you start off position 1, move to position 2, and kind of the certain areas where you're tighter, spend more time in that position, all right, but 2 minutes minimum, and then I wouldn't do any more than 5 minutes on one leg. To be fair, I'd probably stick around 3, but it's your warm-up, you know your body better than I do, so do what suits you, okay, but work that time for both legs if you are using the time, all right. Any questions as always, drop me a message and I'll be happy to help you.